So what do we do now in the midst of all this? In the tension between what's happening now and what will happen someday, what do we do? Listen to the words of Tim Keller. He says, when we meet disappointments with patience, it turns us into something neat, great, and good. And I smiled as I said neat because that's a ridiculous statement. Like, what does it mean to be neat? But I think what he's saying is it transforms us into somebody else. As we meet those disappointments with patience, to wait on the Lord, to know that I'm not okay with my circumstances, but I also know that God understands and his scope of understanding is way larger than mine. And I know that he's not done with this and that he doesn't mean this to harm me forever. But it may be for my, in the midst of it, in those little moments, it's actually going to do something in me and those around me potentially that will be for my greater good. As we do that, we become somebody else. We become somebody new. We become transformed. So we wait in patience, we wait with perspective, and we wait in belief. Romans 8:18 says, I want you to consider Paul is talking about his sufferings. This guy went through things that you and I, like the things that we cry and moan and complain about. This dude would laugh at those things. And Paul would look at us like that and he'd be like, why are you complaining? 2020 is not that bad. I want you to, and there's a list, and I think it's 1 Corinthians, like he goes through this list of all the things that he encountered. And it's a really long list. And he would just go, you don't even know. Chase, come on. 2020 hasn't been that bad. And here's what he says. In the midst of that, he says, in the midst of his suffering, he says, I consider my sufferings as nothing in comparison to the coming glory. That word consider actually means calculate. Like he's doing the math. And he's going, you know, this is really bad, but I clearly don't use a calculator very often, okay? Mine's more like this, right? But he calculates. And he says, it's nothing compared to what's coming my way. Nothing to the coming glory. And I think that's where we find our hope. And I want to challenge you this morning that potentially, I really want you to consider how you can pray through this like Habakkuk is doing. As we pray through it. There's this guy named John Newton. He's a pastor. He wrote the Amazing Grace hymn, if you know him. And someone once wrote to him, and they were talking with him about their prayer life. And here's what they said. They said, I'm not really receiving anything from my prayer life. And this is what John Newton said. This is what he responded. Well, I guarantee you won't get, he goes, I guarantee you'll get nothing from not praying. So don't give up. Right? Like keep after it. Why? Because there's something that God is doing in the midst of while you wait. Maybe this morning you're frustrated with whatever that circumstance is in your life today. And you're going, I don't know how I'm going to move from here to where I really want to be. And you're going, what? And God is telling you to wait. What do you do with that? Well, in the midst of that, you confess that to God. Like Habakkuk, you wrestle and you grapple with it with him. You bring others around you who can help you wrestle with that as you wait for God to do something. And it may not be, I hate to say it this way, it may not even be in your own lifetime where he's going to do this. But in the midst of that waiting, God is going to do something exponentially larger than you could have ever imagined.